Not sure, but Jill and Linda are taking over from there. All right? So, if you get her out, then...
The beer is completely undrinkable. And they speak Italian. Worst of all,
well, I'm a lady carrier.
some do go down.
I'm well. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do that because it's so hot.
I finished my bottle of ice. I opened it and it was literally solid ice all the way through, and it was fine. I'm feeling a lot cooler today. I'm being more
Yes. But if you asked me what was your best one, I would say all the things that we just wanted.
Yeah, it's way too long for that right now.
Stanley. Oh yeah, that's the one. Yeah, on the field later you'll see people slightly shorter sleeves, but a bit more manageable.
And we fought on the top amongst tree stumps, and oh my god, it was a nightmare doing pushing. I think I've locked into skin.
But yeah, you got any questions about?
I did it.
And then the second
How many spares? I'll let you take one with you from it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's just got little bits on like using cipher wheels, on writing with invisible ink, and a little guide to folding up letters as well. Miniaturised letters.
Chuck Norris actually, gave away. That's it. Chuck Norris beer he donated it.
Don't start with the Chuck Norris jokes.
This is very good.
Chelsea's first huge, isn't it?
He doesn't do a press up. He pushes the earth down. Are we drilling soon?
I believe so, we are. It should be at 11, I believe.
Right, well, we're nearly there.
That flat armour, honestly, you look like SpongeBob SquarePants.
Well, actually, I have my new armour is on order. I have 4 of it. But Rob Langmore is goes home. They won't issue what can say.
Oh, right.
You know it's hot when you actually have issues stuck in.
Go on, Louis. So this is good. We're going to a cool barn. And I'll take the dog home as well.
Emmanuel! God with us! Hallelujah!
Earl of Manchester's Regiment of Foote. We are part of the Sealed Knot, which is Europe's oldest and still largest single reenactment group of several thousand members. We do events up and down the country, and we're very pleased and privileged to be here in Culcheth on the site of a skirmish that happened in 1651, which we'll talk about later in the day when we have our own skirmish.
Okay.
And you see before you a corps of musketeers, drummers, and a colour bearer. Now, to begin with, I'm going to need a volunteer. You, sir. Well volunteered. Now, do you know the names of the two sides in the English Civil War? Parliamentarian and Royalist. Thank you very much, sir. You don't go away. Oh, they're all talking among, they're setting their match. Could Musketeer Adam and Musketeer Corps stand forward, please? Sorry, Adam, I momentarily forgot your surname. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Could, sir, right, which of these do you think is a parliamentarian and which of these do you think is a royalist? Take a rough guess. Yeah, so you think this guy is a parliamentarian and this guy's this guy. We've been married a number of years. This musketeer is a royalist. Okay, hands up if you think, what was your name, sir? Matt. Hands up if you think Matt is correct. That's a parliamentarian, that's a royalist. Yeah, okay. Hands up if you think it's the other way around. Hands up if you think this is a trick question. Congratulations, you're correct. It is a trick question because they could be either. The Victorian myth of the dashing cavalier with the big floppy hats with the ostrich feather riding around in the breeze, and the dour round head with the sober dress and scowl on their face. It's a Victorian myth. This was a civil war. This was a war between people from the same country, from the same community, and often the same families. It's one of the kind of symbols, the metaphors of the English Civil War, that it divided relationships between friends, between father and son, between brothers, and really tore the country apart. If you could retire, Corporal Clark. Thank you. So, now I've been doing this display for about 15 years, so this question has now become quite redundant. Who's got a smartphone on them? Yeah? Hands up if you've got a smartphone on them. Thank you for identifying yourselves. Our hand-trained team of child pickpockets will be around later to relieve you of them. However, the reason I ask is that a smartphone is a piece of technology that has changed the world. It has completely reordered the way that we live our lives. It has destroyed and resurrected and recreated hierarchies. I'm going to show you a piece of technology that also changed the way the world works and reordered the way we live our lives. And it's this. This is a matchlock musket. That is a nasty horsefly. Go away. This is a matchlock musket. It's an early type of gun. Doesn't look, I mean, it looks a little bit like a modern gun, but it's basically a tube. There's a big hole at one end and a little hole at the other end. And the musketeer will take gunpowder, finely milled gunpowder, and will place some into the pan, which is this little bit of metal just here. They will cover that over with a lid. They will cast about their piece. They will put more gunpowder down the barrel, along with maybe some wadding, like material or paper. And they would also use a musket ball. Now, quite often, musketeers would hold their musket balls in their mouth, so they could just spit it down the barrel. Bear in mind that these are pure lead musket balls, so you can imagine their breath at the end of the day. They will then take a piece of match. Now, this is slow match. This is rope that's been impregnated with a solution of saltpeter, potassium nitrate. And what that means is it burns slowly, but very steadily, so you can rely on it. They would take the lit match, they would insert it into the serpent on the side of the musket, and the serpent is connected to the trigger. And when it comes time to fire, they will open the pan, pull the trigger, the match will go down into the pan, and if they're lucky, the gunpowder in the pan will ignite. If they're a bit luckier, the gunpowder down the barrel will ignite. If they're even luckier, the musket ball will come out the end. If they're the luckiest musketeer on the face of the planet, it'll hit the thing they were aiming at. Because these are inaccurate weapons, they're smooth bore rifles effectively. So rather than a modern bullet which spins as it goes through the air, meaning it goes in a straight line, musket balls rattle along those barrels. They come out and they can get caught by the air. They're not perfect spears either, so they can end up flying all over the place. The musketeers are going to show you the process of firing. Okay?
Open your orders to the right hand.
Make ready! So, they're taking you through the process. You see that they've all got the this belt around their torso with all the little flasks on it. That's called a bandolier, or a belt of boxes. Sometimes you'll hear people call them apostles, and that's rubbish. They were never called that at the time because there aren't 12 of them. There's anywhere between 8 and 15. Each one of those little flasks has enough gunpowder for a single shot. They also have about themselves a little triangular flask. That's a priming flask. There's some gunpowder in there which they use to put in the pan. And the bandolier means that they're not having to measure out each shot themselves. They know exactly how much gunpowder is in there. Because what you don't want on the battlefield is lots of loose powder. Because every single one of these people is holding a lit piece of match. And gunpowder and naked flames really like each other. Mm-hmm. So this will be a loud noise, just to warn anybody of a nervous disposition.
I'm going to give you the command to fire. You will be facing away from the crowd. Once you have fired, in your own quickest time, right about face, face the audience, make ready. When you're ready to fire your second shot, right about face again that way.
So what we're going to do is we're going to show you a shot, and then they're going to start to reload immediately. So I'd like with you, with me, to count how many seconds it takes them to reload before their second shot.
Right. Present your piece. Prepare to give fire. Give fire. Cover. Misfires out. Make ready.
2, 3, 4, 5. I can't hear you. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Oh,
well done, Catherine.
Give her a round of applause. Well done,
Jamie.
Well
done.
Do we have any misfires? Oh, okay. Wonderful. So how many seconds was that for the first shot? 25. Thank you very much, young man. So, 25 seconds.
Your musket.
Now that's actually quite quick. These are relatively well-trained musketeers. I have to be nice to it, like I said, I'm married to it. But, 25 seconds. Now, we're facing an army that includes cavalry. And the thing about cavalry is they're quite quick. And if they're charging towards you, they could probably cross a battlefield in around about 30 seconds. So, you've got an unloaded gun. Maybe you fumble, you don't load it as quickly, it takes a little bit longer. And the cavalry is bearing down on you. Now, Matt, I've got another question for you, if you don't mind. Those musketeers are unloaded. What do they have on them? What can you see that they might use to ward off the charging cavalry? A sword, okay. Well, I tell you what. I'll take this from the elder Sergeant Huck. Thank you. I'll give you this, and you pop over to the M6 and see if you can stop a car with it. Because that's the equivalent of trying to stop a charging horse with a sword. The horse won't even register that you're there. it will trample you to the ground. Musketeers were incredibly vulnerable to charging cavalry. They did not have the means to defend themselves if they were unloaded. The most obvious thing, you may think, is, well, why didn't they have bayonets? Simple reason is, it hadn't been invented. They might be able to take a dagger and push it down the barrel of their gun and use that to stab a horse, but then they can't fire a gun. That's them taken out of the battle. So, in order to defend themselves, thank you very much, Sergeant, you have the pike. This was a noble weapon, an ancient weapon. Alexander the Greek had conquered most of the known world with great phalanxes of pikes. By the 17th century, this was the weapon of a gentleman. No firing across a field with a dirty musket. This was a weapon where you got up close and personal with your enemy. 16 to 20 feet of English ash tipped with a razor-sharp steel.
Open your order about the centre.
Great blocks of these men would march together on a battlefield, both as an offensive unit and also as a defence for cavalry.
Charge your fight!
Right, can we sort out our dressing free so we're all
So, they are at the charge. And I've met many stupid horse riders in my time, but I've yet to meet a stupid horse. And no horse is going to go charging into a wall of razor-sharp steel points. So the pike was a defence for muskets against cavalry. The blocks would be anywhere up to 200 men, all fighting together. And they would advance on the enemy. And once they were past the ends of the enemy pike, they would drop their own pike, take out their secondary weapons, so a sword, an axe, a dagger, whatever they had to hand, and engage in some fairly brutal hand-to-hand combat. This was famously what became known as the push of pike, where the pikes would go up into the air as they came together in these huge battles. And like I said, they were their primary defence against cavalry for muskets. And one of the reasons why you needed all this protection is because at the heart of your regiment, at the centre of your regiment, were two types of officer that were essential for keeping these huge. I mean, these are militiamen. These are only small blocks of people. You're talking 100, 200 per block. There'd be musket on either side of the pike. But in order to get those people to march around to do what they're told, you need a couple of other types of officer. Guns and coats and 4, please. So what you see before you is a party of drums and colour. I'll come to the drums first. So, as we find quite often on a field, not battlefield, proper battlefield, so when you've got lots of cannons going off, you've got lots of muskets, people screaming and shouting, people doing commentary over the top. Our officers lose their voices almost immediately. It's actually quite hilarious when it happens. But it's not very much use for issuing orders. And so the drums were integral for the communication within a 17th century regiment. If you give us a tune. Give me a little round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. So the drums had different tunes based on different orders. And particularly with a block of pike, you would have a drummer at each corner, and they would communicate the different orders. Each tune meant a different order, and it meant that commanding officers were able to issue orders, and people would be able to hear them. It's not an exact science. Obviously, there's a lot of drums on a battlefield, but it really was the only way to actually communicate to the soldiers what they were meant to do. The other really important person, if not the most important person, is the ensign. Now, ensign is both a rank and a role. It's roughly equivalent to the second lieutenant today. It's the lowest rank of commissioned officers. And the colour is vital for a regiment because it's the heart of the regiment. It's the heart and soul. It is its identity, and also when that flag is flying, it means that things are still going okay. If the colour were to fall, it means that the enemy has penetrated all the way to the heart of your regiment, and to be honest with you, it's probably time to start running and hope that you're not the slowest. The colour, as it was called, 6 foot square, silk. It was so important that when commanding officers would write to their bosses about a particular victory, they would include a number of enemy colours that had been captured as a sign of how great their victory was. So at Marston Moor, 1644, the Battle of the Five Armies, one of the biggest battles ever fought on English soil, Parliament captured somewhere in the region of 50 to 60 Royalist colours. And they were paraded through London in a victory parade later that year. The colour also was the voice of the regiment to a certain degree. So at the beginning of a set-piece battle, of which there were relatively few in the English Civil War, at the beginning of a set-piece battle, the ensigns would go out the front and they would flourish the colour. Regiment of Foote, his personal standard with the device from his coat of arms. This is them saying, we're here, we're ready for battle. It is the 17th century equivalent of saying, come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. Thank you very much, Ensign. If drums and colours would retire to the centre of the field, please. Now you'll see a display of cannon today. Cannon weren't really much of a feature on an English Civil War battle. They were difficult to move. There were no proper roads at the time. They're heavy, so if you take lighter pieces, sort of anti-personnel guns, they don't really do much damage. So weren't really worth much. They were much more useful as siege weapons. But Ted, from our friend in John Milburn's Regiment of Foote, will be able to tell you all about that later. So these are, along with the cavalry, which would be massed on the wings, these are the main parts of an infantry regiment. I talked about the defence of the musket and the drums and the colour by the pike. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you a demonstration of the manoeuvre that will be used. You're on a battlefield, your cavalry has been chased off the field by Prince Rupert of the Rhine and aren't likely to come back. What's left of the Royalist cavalry turn around and start bearing down towards you. And so what you have to do is get into a charge horse, or a hedgehog. And it's this particular formation where the pike creates a ring of defence for everyone else to hide in and for musket to fire out of. So we're going to show you this now.
Let's fire! Get fire!
Give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. A textbook charge horse.
Recover, reform your body as you came on the field.
Pike to the crowd line forward, please.
You can see how the different parts of the regiment work together in order to fight on the battlefield. And we can see the artillery coming in now for their own demonstration, which will be next.
So, musket to the fore, pike to the rear as you came on the field. Drums to the fore. Catherine.
Divided between all these different wings, all trying to work together to produce a united front. Cavalry on the wings.
Jody musket!